we've got the My Estimates button that allows you to start your estimating. So if you can just click in there quickly, I'm going to be coming out of this screen in just a second. This will actually give us a list of all the estimates we've currently done in the software, with the types of work that we've done, with the couple of cost columns. One's excluding VAT, one's actually excluding profit, one's including profit, but both are excluding any VAT at this stage. And really the kind of status of the estimate, whether or not we've won the job, it's been completed, or it could have been unsuccessful for some reason. So just going to close that, go back to the main menu. The second button down is our Download Prices button. So as long as I'm connected to the internet, I can hit my Download Prices, and what the software will do, it will update any price changes from any of the merchants you're actually linking to, as well as updating what we call the HBXL price tracker prices, which are the kind of default prices you'll kind of get in the software from day one. So if you're not linking to Jewson's or Travis, these are the prices you'll actually have. If I just put a small highlighter on there, so the HBXL price tracker prices, if we filter by that supplier, these are your kind of standard prices that are set up in the software from day one. Now these prices are kind of based on an industry average material cost. Now I know that you guys are probably not getting, or certainly buying at merchant, a lot cheaper than the prices in here. So these are kind of shelf edge kind of cost prices. But what you can do is quickly you can edit the prices themselves. So you can go to the mass editing tool, and from the mass editing tool you can edit adjustments. And what you can do is then put an adjustment in this column here. Say we want to drop a price by 30%. So you can see there, ballast bulk bag, it's gone from £50, 30% adjustment, to actually buying that at £35. Now because I've got 30% in there, I can just double click on the 30% and all my prices will then change by 30%. So all the prices underneath, as you can see there, we've got one price in the list price, and we've now got a different price in the purchase cost column. Now that's exactly how the kind of merchant links work as well, but the merchant links will have your discounts in the discount column as opposed to the adjustment column. So if I just take that filter back off, and what I'm now going to do is filter by my Jewson's price or my Jewson's catalogue. So you can actually see there we've now got all the Jewson prices in the left hand column because we're filtering by Jewson's, and then we've got, if we were to have a discount in that column, then that will reflect in your purchase cost as well. So as I said, we'll actually link to the likes of Jewson's and Travis, so you don't have to do anything. We can have bring those discounts in for you. You've also got lots of different material types within the filters as well. So from the top button here we can filter, if we want to have a look at bricks, this will then give us a list of all the bricks we've actually got in the software. So I've got my bricks I'm getting from Jewson's. The tracker's also got its bricks as well, and you can also put your own bricks in as well. So if you were getting a certain type of brick from a different supplier, say we were going down to the LBC Tudors, you could then put a new resource in there. So you've got an LBC Tudor brick, and then you can put your own price in there. So say we're getting that for 50p. From the suppliers, I've actually kind of updated my price book over the years on demonstrations. So you can see in there I've got Brady's Merchant. So if it's Brady Merchant you're actually getting material from, you could then apply the supplier there, what the kind of delivery terms are. So we can say we're actually being delivered every 2 weeks from order, and the payment terms with these guys is every 4. And you can also put your own wastage allowance into the software as well. So if you want to put, if you're quite tight on your wastage, you can put 5% in there instead of the 7.5%. And you can see there we've now got an LBC Tudor brick coming from Brady's Merchant for 50p as opposed to the 70p. So you can update your price book as often as you want to. You can include your own kind of prices. You can adjust them as well. And as well as making any adjustments, You can also edit your wastage, so that will unlock your wastage column. So if it's 5% is your kind of rule of thumb on wastage, then you can change your wastage quite quickly. And that's just on the bricks as well, so nothing else is affected apart from the bricks. We've also got lots of, if you're looking for doors, we can change it to the doors. As you can see here, we've got some bifold doors, and again you can also filter by your suppliers as well if you want to. And you've also got, for foundations for example, we've got our kind of foundation items and stuff in there as well. So that's the material price book. You can also jump into the section for your labour price book as well. So if we click the labour button, that allows us to access our kind of labour gangs, our kind of 2-in-1 gangs, our 4-in-2 gangs, our individual kind of labourers, tradesmen, joiners, electricians, ground workers, insulation specialists. We've also got our plasterers down here as well, our plumbers, our roof tilers. So everything's kind of in there for you to kind of choose from day one anyway. Just to kind of note as well, the labour rates are actually set out in an hourly rate. So we do get some builders saying, well, I kind of pay my guys on a day rate. Well, that's absolutely fine. Just work out, for example, on an 8-hour day, what the hourly rate is, and then just update accordingly by going into Edit Prices, and then you can alter your labour rates to reflect what your kind of labour rates are for your business. So we've got labour, we've got materials, we've also got plant as well. So from day one, you've got all these plant items within the software. Again, you can add new ones as you go as well, or edit the ones you've already got. But you've got, for example, mini diggers in here. You might have them at slightly different kind of prices, depends on which supplier you're getting them from. You've also got, for example, your dust sheets, your plate compactors in here, your slab cutter, you've got your shovel. So again, there's going to be wear and tear on your shovel, and you've got your wheelbarrow, and you've got your other kind of items and stuff in there as well. Subcontractor prices, if you're not doing, for example, any of the decorating, you're actually getting a decorator in to actually give you a price. You can then apply a nice subby price within the estimate as well, accounting for any kind of decorating costs for your subbies. Sundry items, so these are items that you might not be estimating for today, but you certainly can do in the software. For example, like warranty costs, insurance costs, expenses for meals. You've also got telecom setup costs. You've got site investigation, site surveys, water connection fee. So you've got all these kind of items that you can set up, and you can also add to this list as you go as well. So that's the price book. It's called the Master Price Book. It's actually found in the My Settings section of the software under My Price Book. Now I kind of got to the price book quite quickly by doing download prices, but if you don't do it that way, you can just go into My Settings, and then you've got your price book there, which is accessible. You can also make copies of your price book as well. So say you're actually doing work in a certain area, say it's you're looking to kind of crack the London market, so you can actually call this your London price book. And if you go into your say your labour rates, say labour rates are a little bit higher in London, you can go into adjustments, and what you can do, you can actually put a small 10% adjustment on your labour price book. So it's going to kind of jump up your own prices by 10%. So once that's been done, you can close that down now. So when we actually go to do our estimating, we can pick the London price book if we're actually doing an estimate for a client in London. So you know that you're kind of giving yourself a little bit more of a margin on the labour rates. We could have done the same for the materials. I'm sure that materials is going to be a little bit more expensive as we get into that kind of southeast kind of corridor, especially if you're looking to, as I say, kind of crack some new kind of markets. So we're going to be going into the My Estimates in just a second. So I said about the download prices. There's a button in there as well for My Projects. So what you can do is create a brand new project and include multiple estimates into one job. And then you've got the My Settings section down there as well that allows you to go in and alter some of the items within the My Settings. One of the ones you might want to kind of set up quite quickly from day one is your profit and inflation. So the software is actually set up with a default 30% markup. You can change that to whatever you feel comfortable kind of working towards, or you might just want to leave it at 30%, because you might start thinking, well, if we're actually estimating quite accurately with the software, can maybe get away with the putting a little bit more kind of margin on top. You've also got an inflation cost you can adjust. So if the job is going to be certainly running over a good 4 to 5 months, just to protect yourself against any kind of rise in material costs. For example, if your insulation's going up, or your bricks are going up, or timber's gone up, you can just include that in the quotation. So it just means that it's coming out your client's pocket rather than it's coming out your profit margin. So again, just something to maybe kind of consider when you're kind of doing the estimating with our software. So what we're going to be doing then is we're going to start building the estimate. So I'm going to go into the My Estimate section, click on that button there. So these are the current jobs we've already got. We've got up to job 31 here. So on the top toolbar we can do a couple of things here. We can either open up a current estimate if we want to carry on working there, or we can create a new estimate, or what I could do is actually copy an existing estimate, especially if the job's going to be quite similar. Maybe it's a similar extension that you're estimating for. So what you can do is copy the estimate, adjust some of the dimensions within the estimate, and then get that out to the client. What we're going to do though today, we're actually going to create one from scratch. So I'm going to be using the New Estimate button. So we click on that button there. Now what this done is open up this little kind of box is floating around. This is actually your kind of estimate wizard box. It's actually going to ask you some questions about the estimate. You've got step 1 to 8, this being step 1. So it's asking me for the details of the estimate. So I'm just going to pop on there my name, so Mark Brady, and the type of job from the job description. If I click on that button, it'll allow me to then kind of pick from the list of what estimate we're actually doing. As you can see, we do lots of kind of demos on extensions, so I'll just pick extension for this time being to try and keep it as simple as we can. It's also going to assign a job number. We've got job number 31 there, so it's going to tell me that's going to be job 32. So from the drop-down list on the price book, as I said, if we're actually doing this job in London, by picking that London price book, it just means that my labour rates I'm going to be estimating on are going to be around about 10% higher than my standard ones. But again, just to kind of keep it simple, I'm just going to pick the master price book at this stage. Specification, because you're doing an extension, we're going to pick an extension specification. The specification, all that's doing is specifying the materials and the labour in the plant for this type of work. So you could have a slightly different specification for a new build, or you might have a different specification if you're doing a renovation. You might be using a slightly different brick, bit of insulation. So yeah, you can then kind of modify your specifications to your heart's content. This is where we're actually now going to pick the workbooks. Now this is a nice big long list of different workbooks for the different types of work that we do. The workbooks are going to be kind of physical items that you'll be kind of building in the real world. So it will be a combination of like roofs, doors, windows, walls, flooring, to name just but a few. So if we're building an extension, what I can do, I can actually use this kind of filter button here and say, right, I want to pick a wall, so I'm going to go down to the wall section. This is actually going to give me a list of the different walls we've got in the software. I'm going to be building a brick and block cavity wall on the extension itself, so I need a brick and block cavity wall workbook in order to actually enter my dimensions for it to calculate the foundations, the block work, the brickwork, DPCs, above ground block work, above ground brickwork. Also want to estimate my brick ties, my insulation, my plastering, my skirtings, my decorating, plus all I need to estimate all for the labour and plant as well. So I've picked my brick and block cavity wall workbook. I'll now want to go and pick my roof. So if I go to the roof section, so we've got a list of different roofs we can actually pick from. If we're doing like a flat roof extension, you can pick a flat roof. I like to try and keep it a bit simple, and we're actually picking a lean-to roof. So the lean-to roof on the right hand side is actually going to describe to me in detail what that workbook is going to estimate for. So it's going to estimate the carcass and timber, the fascias and the guttering, the tiling and the sarking, felt undercloaking, lead work, plastering and insulation, internal and external decoration, lead work at the intersection of the walls and roof, plus all the labour associated with the above and any plant requirement for the job as well. So I've got my brick and block cavity wall, I've picked my lean-to roof. Now what I want to do, I'm going to do some flooring. So I'm going to go to the flooring section. I'm going to pick an extension slab. So the slab's actually going to allow me to prepare the substrate, subbase, DPM, concrete slab, the associated plant, and any labour as well. I'm also going to pick a door, so I'm going to go to the door section, and from the door section, say the client wants to have a nice 1800 patio door on the extension. That's absolutely fine. We can also pick a window, so we'll go down to the window section, and we can pick from a standard PVC, some softwood windows, and we've also got some hardwood windows in there as well. I think the hardwood windows are at the top. So let's pick a hardwood window 1200 deep. We can also add any more of the kind of sections if we want to, but what I'll do, I'll just kind of pick them for the time being. I can also show you, once we're in the estimate, how we actually add some additional workbooks to the job. So these could be my kind of starting workbooks that I'll use to do the estimating. I'm going to give the job a start date, so the client's asked for the job to start in June. And we can also pick a Gantt chart for the job, which is going to give you a kind of a build schedule, how long the job's going to likely to take, how long the build phase is going to take, when they're going to start, when they're going to finish, and it'll also allow you to put any adjustments on that kind of Gantt chart as well. So I'm going to be picking the small extension chart, and I'm also going to put my details in here that are going to then be transferred. Just going to copy the company address in there, put it in place. That's in Bristol, BS2 8RH, and I can also put my phone number in there as well. So this will all be transferred to the quotation. My markup, yeah, I'm quite happy with the 30%. I'm going to try and make as much on this job anyway. It'll also leave me with a little bit of room for negotiation if I kind of get into that with the client. And I can also then include that small inflation cost in there anyway. Doesn't really matter at this stage because you get the option of actually including it or excluding it at the quote stage anyway. So I would just say kind of leave it as it is, and then you can either decide on whether or not you want to include it or whether or not you don't. So I'll press finish, and I'm ready to start estimating on the job that we've just created. So this is our job number 32, Mark Brady's extension. If I just close the job anyway, just to it's actually in progress. It's actually down here anyway. As you can see, it's actually added it to my list of jobs. So if I just double click on it again, all that's done is really kind of taking me into the job, ready for me to kind of start estimating my walls, slab, windows, roofs, and patio door. So if I just double click on the brick and block cavity wall, now it's asking me for a name, which I'm just going to call it walls. and it's going to be walls of my extension. The reason you give it a name, it could have been wall 1, and that wall 1 could have been in bedroom 1, and it could have been wall 2 in bedroom 1, or wall 3 in bedroom 1 if we were doing like small little block walls, etc. So you do have different locations. You can actually locate where the walls are going to go. If it's a front extension, you can change it to a front extension. If we were actually building a garage, we could say that the wall is going to be done on a garage. So it just kind of gives you a bit of a location we're actually going to be putting it where we're actually going to be building the wall. If the location doesn't exist, you can press the plus button and you can put your own kind of location in there. Now we've got options here of what type of wall are we estimating. It could be a single story, it could be a double story extension you're doing, or you could be doing a single story or a double story without any foundations. You could also be doing a Part L, so if you're actually doing a new build to kind of allow for Part L of building regs, so you're going to have quite thicker walls to allow for more insulation, so you can do a Part L wall. But at the moment, because you're doing an extension, it's going to be a single story with a lean-to roof. I'm just going to pick a single story cavity wall, and then this allows me to start entering my dimensions into the pictorial wizard. So the walls itself, this is the, as you can see, the total brickwork, so the brickwork shell. We've got a kind of a kick-off dimension there at 2.5 meters, but looking at my set of plans, I can actually see it's 2.4. So what I can do, I can change that to 2.4 meters. Measuring off again off the plan, our first wall is going to be 6 meters. So yeah, quite happy with that. And we've also got an area of opening because we've got a window or a door in that wall. So you'd put the square meterage dimension into that area. So what we're not doing, we're not estimating the window there. The window is actually separate. We're actually estimating the area of opening for the window to actually go into that kind of brickwork. If we want to, we can also say, right, well, we've got 2 walls that are identical, so I'm just going to estimate 2, but at the moment I'm just going to leave it at 1. We've got the gable dimensions. Now, I did say we're going to be doing a lean-to roof, so we can measure up the roof section and then put our dimensions into these boxes here. Moving on, we're now on page 2 of 4. So this is the foundation details. So we've got a meter down as per the dimension there, which is pretty kind of standard. We've got 600mm across, and we've also got 400mm for the concrete fill. Now if I just switch on that little button there, what that's actually telling me is that's 400mm for the structural concrete thickness. So you can actually see here, it gives you a little description when that little label button's on, when that little tech tip button's on. Now the software knows how much concrete we're actually going to be pouring into this foundation, because we actually know the length of the foundations. We also know the depth of the foundations and the width of the foundations. So if we're actually got 400 mil for the thickness, it knows exactly how much concrete we're actually going to be pouring into this foundation. Because it knows how much spoil we're actually going to be digging out of this foundation as well, the software is actually going to estimate for the excavated material, so the loose spoil that's going to be coming out the grounds, it's going to factor it up by 1.5. So it's going to estimate that it's going to be probably going into a skip, so it's going to allow for the kind of looseness of the soil itself. It's also estimating for the plank and strut excavation. It's estimating the trench sheets at this stage. And if you go into the next page, it's now allowing me to estimate the footing details. Now if we just switch on this little button here, show tech labels, what that's doing is just pointing out the various elements of the footings itself. So the cavity fill, block work below DPC, the DPC level itself, trench blocks, where they're going to go. So again, it's all just to kind of give you a helping hand when you come to do your estimating. All the dimensions you kind of see on screen are pretty kind of standard building regs anyway. I mean, we've got 100mm for the cavity width, and we've got 300mm for the overall width of the wall. If you're doing a Part L template that had the Part L single story. It just means that that dimension there would be 340 and that dimension there would be 340 as standard. But we're not doing Part L, so I'll take that back to 100 and I'll take that back to 300. It's insulating, it's estimating for the insulation, and it's also estimating for the DPC. The last but not least is the plastering and decorating. So now we've kind of turned our attention to the internal side of the wall. So we've done all the external side of it. We've dug out a trench, we've put in our footing, we've erected all the kind of brick and block. So this is now asking the question: are you going to be plastering the block work? Yes, we are. Are you actually going to be decorating the block work? So depending on whether or not you're doing it or you're getting a decorator in to do it, you could actually say yes, yes. And also skirting boards, we're doing a single story, so it's estimating for one skirting board to actually run up the length of that wall. It's also asking the question: are you going to prime and decorate it? They're both defaulted at yes, and that's absolutely fine. You can also go into the gable as well and decorate and plaster the gable, depending on the type of gable you've done, lean-to or just your typical apex. So by pressing finish, we've estimated that wall at a cost of 2165 and 41 pence. And the reason why it's come to that that kind of cost is, one, all the dimensions we've actually told the software is going to be used to do the estimating, and two, is it's actually going to be pulling in these resources to actually estimate that that wall itself. So what we've actually estimated for here is the concrete, the blocks, the bricks, insulation. We've also estimated for the cavity insulation. We've also estimated for the DPC. We've estimated the building sand. We've estimated the Mastercrete cement. And we've also estimated the plasterboard. We've also estimated the skirting board. So we've got a skirting board in there. That's the skirting board we're actually using from our price book, and that's how we're actually going to fix the skirting. Is we're actually going to fix it with the kind of cut class nails within the price book as well. All the decorating finishes, and then after the decorating finishes, it starts getting into the labour element of it. So we've got a ground worker coming in doing various jobs. We've also got a ground worker and labourer coming in to do some extra, some of the jobs down here for planking and strutting, preparing the bottom of the trench, laying the structural concrete, laying any mass concrete if we've got it, and also placing the kind of cavity fill as well. Then we've got our kind of brickie coming in, doing all the kind of laying of blocks and bricks, and then we've got our plasterer, or two plasterers and one plasterer's mate coming in, and then we've got our decorator coming in to do the decoration side of it. At the very end, we've got our plant, so we've got our mini digger and driver to actually excavate the trench. We've got our shovel to do a bit of backfilling. We've also got our skip to remove the excavated material from the dig, and we've also got our trench sheets and also our shovel there for placing some of the concrete. So it's not two shovels we've used, it's the same shovel, but it's estimating the usage of that shovel, and it's also estimating the wear and tear of that shovel on your on every single job that you do. So you're going to have to replace it at some stage, and that kind of cost does accumulate on the amount of jobs that you do. So that's the resources we've used. We can also, if we want to, is have a look at the number of bricks we've used. So if we actually use bricks above DPC less any openings as an example, we've got a facing brick in here, and what we can do is we can actually go to views, and we can go to views, show quantities, and that will tell us how many bricks we're actually going to use for this one wall. So I'm sure you guys out there could probably make this a nice kind of calculation. We're actually using 708 bricks, a job that's 11.8 square meters, because we're actually using 60 bricks for every 1 square meter. So that's how many bricks we're using, and because our bricks cost 28 pence, our estimated rate is £16.80, per square metre. So that's all the software does. It calculates based on a rate, 60 bricks over a square metre. We've got 11.8 square metres of wall to cover, so we've got £708 worth of brick for the brickwork shell. Now we've got a bit of wastage in there, got 35 bricks we'll probably waste, so when we order the bricks, just for that element, we'll be needing to order 743 bricks at that stage. Now what I want to do, I want to include an additional wall here, because being an extension we've probably got more than one wall, so I'm going to be adding a new column, adding a new single story cavity wall. So what do? We change that to 2.4, and this wall we're actually going to change to 3.5 meters in length. There's an area of opening there for a window. It's probably the wrong squarish meter in there, but I'm going to put a little figure in there anyway. And then what we can do is estimate the rest of the job. Change that to yes, press finish. So now we've got two walls. One's 6 meters in length, one's 3.5 meters in length. And what I can then do again, add a new one, single story cavity wall, 2.4, but this time we've got a wall that's 4 meters in length. So as you can see, we've now got 3 walls we've estimated, a cost of £4,810.43. And if I go to View Resources Output, I'll go back to those bricks above DPC, less any openings, and if you go back to Views, Show Quantities, we've now estimated 1,650 bricks, because we're going to waste 78. And we can also look at just the basic cost of that as well. Where is it? Total costs. So you can actually see how much that's costing. £462.17. So we've got our 3 walls, quite happy with that. Going to close the workbook down. Is this workbook now complete? Yes, it has been. Now the same principles apply regardless of whether or not you're doing a wall, a slab, a roof. So if you go to the slab, it's exactly the same. Slab on the extension. We're actually going to pick the reinforced template. We can switch on these 2 buttons. That will point out the various elements with the dimensions. So make the adjustments as you see fit. Any irregular areas, stick a little kind of square meterage dimension in there. And then, is it a DPM? Yes. Overlap of the DPM perimeter. Is there going to be insulation to on the side of the slab? What's the perimeter insulation? Is there reinforcement? Well, we picked the one that said that there was reinforcement, so that's defaulted to yes. If I picked the other one, it just would have had no. Is the slab power float finished? And then we can then start going through how many days, hours we're going to need our plant for. Press finish, and then that will estimate your slab up for you. And again, you can go into View Resources Output, and that will give you a list of all the materials, the labour and plant is going to be required to actually lay your slab. And again, if you want to, you can have a look at quantities. If you're quite happy with the slab, we can then close that down, and then that's estimated, the 3 walls and the slab. It will then kind of give you an indication of just how fast you're actually kind of getting through the estimate, because it puts in a nice little kind of time stamp as you kind of work through it. I'm going to just skip to the roof. So again, same principles apply. Call it the roof, where it's going to be built, press OK. Now here, because we've estimated the walls already, we can actually pull in the dimensions from the brick and block cavity wall we've estimated. So it'll actually pull in the wall kind of widths. We can then choose from a roof with soffits and fascias, insulation and plastering to the ceiling. It might be that you're doing it without soffits and fascias, but you're still doing it with insulation and plastering to the ceiling, or you could be doing it with soffits and fascias and you're actually doing a vaulted ceiling, or without any soffits and fascias but you're insulating to a vaulted ceiling. Just got to pick that first one, keep it simple. Then you get your little template, switch on your two little buttons. That will point out the various elements of your timbers, binders, purlins, rafters. It's also got your wall plates up there as well, your joists, your soffits, eaves, fascias. It's got the dimensions, so it depends on the width of the wall. That was going to bring that over from the wall workbook. Clear span of joists, tin and roof strap details. So it'll estimate for your spacing your rafter noggins, estimate for your length of your gable noggins, estimate the gable strap at various level centres. So it's quite detailed, as we kind of mentioned in the little presentation beforehand. It doesn't leave anything out. You can define what the pitch is. So you want to change it to 24. Purlins, binders, fascias. Eaves length. You've also got number of bars boards, rainwater pipes, number of gutters. You can actually go into the guttering details. So you can actually then define the fixing centres, supplied length of the gutter, so it will estimate all the guttering details for you. You've also got in here is the tiling and insulation information, so length of abutment, number of gable abutments, insulation overlap to ceiling edge. You've also got in there spacing your tile lathe, insulation to the ceiling itself, tiling, so it's going to estimate all your tiling for you. And then you've got your roof finishes, so whether or not you're going to plaster and decorate underside of rafters, bars boards. By pressing finish, we have estimated the lean-to roof at £6,113.82. We can also use that little kind of nice filter button here to filter by material quantities, so you have a full cutting list of the roof itself. And we can also go into view resources output, so we can have a look at quantities. So it's got all your timbers in there, all your tiles. It's also got your eaves tiles, your top tiles, verge tiles, gutter, downpipe clips, insulation, decoration, and then you've got all your joiner, roof tiler, it's coming in, decorator coming in. So everything's kind of accounted for, everything's estimated for you. All you've got to do is input dimensions into little boxes, and then the software works out the rest. So you can see here we're just working our way through the various kind of workbooks, estimating as we go. Windows are a little bit different. Windows are already kind of more or less pre-estimated for you, because we know the dimensions of the windows themselves. So if I go into that window there, it's an 18 by 12, 1.8 by 1.2. So the only thing I really need to do is tell the software how many windows I need. So if I don't need one of those, but need one of those, 18 by 12, then just pick. If you need a 2, then all it's going to do is double up on the estimate for you. But we're just going to be picking one, and that will cost £720.74. Yeah, quite happy with that one. And as well as the patio door, we've got a patio door in there, 133582, because we know the dimension of the patio door. Is this workbook now complete? Yes, it has been. So we've got a kind of a bit of a running cost at the moment, £14,440.06. That is excluding any VAT and any profit at this stage. If we want to add any more kind of workbooks to the job, we can use that Add Workbook button on your top toolbar. So by clicking that button there, it gives us a list of all the workbooks we have in the software. So if we want to, let's see, try and pick a good one. trying to think of a good one. Doing a bit of fitting out. Maybe putting a nice kind of fit a kitchen in there. So you can estimate for the fit a kitchen. So you're doing an extension with a fit a kitchen. We've already got a fit a kitchen that's already got some allowances for the base units, for the worktops, for the wall units, for the sink itself, the waste bin, hob, extractor. So they're all kind of in there. You can change any of these kind of parameters anyway. If they're actually getting something from like Wix or from some kind of specialist kind of kitchen place, you can update these kind of units and stuff to reflect exactly what it is that they want. But it could be that you're putting a fitted kitchen in there that's going to kind of bump up the price considerably for the job. So we've got a kind of a running total, as I said, 21,522.73. So we can also pull on, I mentioned that you can produce a nice little kind of Gantt chart in a job. So the Gantt chart's completely editable. What you can do on here is, this is actually giving you a pretty kind of standard extension Gantt chart. Now we haven't estimated the majority of these build phases, so by using this button here, remove unused build phases, we can actually remove these build phases that we haven't estimated for. So we can put yes. Now what that's going to do is leave the build phases that we have estimated for, and then we can adjust them. So with the foundations, what I'm going to do, I'm actually going to bring that back to week 0. Press cascade, and if I now press refresh, it's then giving me an indication of how long the job should reasonably take. So what I'm now going to do, the plastering hasn't dried, so I'm going to take the joinery second fix. I'm going to put a small adjustment on the joinery second fix. So I'm going to go to joinery second fix. It's due to start week 7. So what I'm going to do, I'm actually going to kind of pump it up to week 8. Press cascade and refresh. So we've got just that extra week for the plastering to dry. You can print this off. Press print. And that'll allow you to kind of print it off and have it as part of the kind of quotation when you give it to the client. So that's the quotation, the chart there for you. You've also got a button here that says reports. So the software actually comes with lots of interesting built-in reports for you to kind of really have a good idea of where your kind of costs are going, where the client costs are going to go, so you can actually give them quite a good idea and an informed decision on the type of job that you've done. It'll also give you an idea of whether or not the job's going to be profitable or not. There's a report down here which is sales price including profit report. If I just double click on that, so that's actually going to give us an indication of how much we're looking to make. It'll give us an indication of the item costs. It'll give us an indication of our wastage costs. It'll also give us an indication of the total cost, and it will also give us an indication of our profit. So we're looking to make around about £6,500 on this one job. So the price to the customer, excluding any VAT at this stage, is going to be 27,979 and 54 pence. If the client does ask you for maybe you're at the negotiation stage and you kind of go into the profit section, what you can do is actually drop your profit, and we'll say, right, we'll set that at 20%. We can go back into that report, and then we can see how much it's going to drop your profit by. So again, it's going to give you an indication of whether or not you think that job's going to be worth doing or not. You can print these reports off if you need to, or you can export them into like an Excel spreadsheet and take them out of the software if you want to do some more kind of jiggery pokery outside of the software in Excel. You've also got a sales price cash flow report, so that will kind of give you an indication of your kind of cash flow for the job. And you've also got your cost cash flow as well as the kind of a sales price cash flow. You've got kind of cost, the kind of analysis in here as well. If you want to have a look at your cost by material type, that will give you a nice little kind of pie chart. Everybody loves a pie chart. And that will kind of give you kind of percentages based on your materials, really what your roof tiles are costing. And this kind of other section is going to be that kind of kitchen unit, so it's going to be quite a big chunk of that. Is going to be that kind of kitchen unit that we put in. We can also press the toggle button, and the toggle button then changes it from a percentage to an actual cost. Okay. So we can see there blocks £523.83. We've got some labour costs down here as well. If you want to have a look at your bricky costs, just going to make sure that we remove any kind of zeros from the report. So if I go into the bricklayer costs, that's actually then going to list the tradesmen, so the different gangs, the 2-in-1 gang, the single bricky, the 2 different build phases they're going to be involved in, and how much cost that's going to include. We can also look at the labour hours as well by going down to the labour time schedule. So the labour time schedule for the brickwork shell, the two brickies and a mate, it's going to be around about 24 hours worth of work. For the joiner on the brickwork shell, it's about an hour. Decorator there, just shy of 2. So you've got your kind of labour time schedule in there as well. And also you've got your materials order schedule. Quite important when you start coming to order materials for your job to kind of keep you on track, keep you kind of project managing the work. This will actually give you an indication of the materials, when you need to order them by, what you need to order and what for, and how much you need to order and what the costs are and what the wastage kind of allowances on there as well. You can filter any of this information. You can filter by the different build phases. If you just want to give yourself these build phases here, then that's the only ones you're going to be able to show at this stage. You can also filter them by date order and order by dates. And you can also take information out. If you don't want to know what it's going to be used for, you can pop it up there and maybe move the kind of build phase across. So you can chop and choose. If you do move any reports, all you've got to do at this stage before you go into the report, there's a kind of a reset button you can go into. So if you go back into that materials order schedule, it'll go back to its normal kind of report view. There's lots of reports in here really to kind of get your kind of teeth into, like a profit forecast, for example. I believe that's linked to your kind of build phases. So again, you can drop extra bits of information in there if you need to. So yeah, lots of reports for you to kind of choose from. So the last thing I'm going to finish off with is going to be the customer quotation. As I said, if you have any kind of questions about what we've kind of been through, certainly use the GoToMeeting question box to fire some questions. We'll have a little kind of Q&A towards the end. So to get the quotation out, we can from the top toolbar, we can go to Customer Quotes, and we can go to Quotes Wizard by Build Phase. So I'm going to click on that one. Just going to check something a sec. Yeah, not sure why that's picking that up. But as you can see there, when I kind of went to produce the quotation, it was actually telling me that some of the client's details are missing. It might have been that I didn't put them on the right kind of lines. But they're all in there, so they will transfer. Yes, I want to continue with the quotation. Now, this is this kind of top section here is an example of what's going to be included on the quotation itself. Now, at the moment, we're not going to be showing any resources on the quotation, but if we want to, and again, it's down to you, it's really kind of down to the client, but just to kind of demonstrate to the client that you've used the right materials on the job, because they've specified a certain brick or a certain kind of tile, you can actually put some key resources on there. You can say, look, that's in the quote, that's what you're going to be getting. You can also put in some build phase pictures to represent each build phase. You can also take your own kind of pictures as well and upload them to the quotation, so you don't have to just rely on the ones that we've got in there. You can put in some customer-friendly descriptions. So rather than giving it the technical name of the brick, we can just call it a brick. And if you want to, if the client specified, well, I want to, I've asked for 1,000 tiles, I want to make sure that they're on the quotation. Or if you want to kind of leave that off, so they don't start asking for money back if you've been a bit short, you can then just kind of leave it off. So it's completely down to you what you include on the quote or what you don't include. If you picked all resources, it just means you're going to be showing labour, materials and plant. If I click that More button, that allows you to include or exclude different kind of build phases on the quote as well. So if you're not showing the roof, you don't have to show the roof, but we will be including it in this one. For resources, it might be that you're only supplying the labour and the plant on the job and not materials. You could then apply a quotation that's just showing labour and plant because the client said that they're going to be buying the materials in. If I go into preferences, this allows me to alter how the quote looks and feels. So if I go into edit text, this is actually going to be the kind of covering letter that's going to be on the quotation itself. So it's just really thanking them for the valid inquiry. We're going to attach the estimate as requested. Should you have any questions regarding this, please do not hesitate to contact us. Any considerations, how long the estimate is valid for, and then you kind of get that kind of used sincerely. Now you can change any of this. You don't have to go with the one that HBXL offer. You can actually change them, save as kind of different kind of paragraphs, and have your own kind of look and feel and your own words on those. That's not a problem. And you can also put in your own terms and conditions into the quote as well. So you can see there it's blank anyway. You can kind of update as you wish. You can also go into page setup, drop in your company logo. So you just browse for your company logo and drop that in. I think I've got one on my desktop. Maybe just use that one. We can also print on pre-printed A4 letterhead, or we can import the letterhead from a Word document within the software. Contact details at the top of each page, so they can get in touch. They know your phone number, your email address. So when we press OK and press print, we'll charge at the VAT rate, press OK, then that will produce a Word document. So the Word document will have your covering letter there with the site details, and then you've got the opening kind of letter there, and then you've got a list of the different build phases. So I'm just going to zoom in on there so you can see it a bit more clearer. So you've got your contact details at the top of each page. You've got a description of the foundations. You can alter that description as well, so you can add some additional items in there if you need to. And then you've got some of the materials you're actually using on the job. So if they've asked for that Ketley brick, you can demonstrate that it's included in the quotation. If they've asked for that insulation, you can include that in the quotation. Brickwork shell, so it's estimating for all the cavity, the brick ties, so they can actually see that the money they're actually going to be spending is going to be including these materials that you're going to be using. Roof structure, roof tiling, so it's all breaking down by build phase, the plastering, the joinery second fix, internal fitting out, so you've got your kind of kitchen units there. Again, if it was a Wixie kitchen unit, you could actually put that in and specify that as that's the unit you're actually using. internal decoration, external decoration, and then you've got a kind of a price down here. So it's a total cost excluding VAT. It's then including VAT, so they can see what the VAT rate is. And then you've got an acceptance to the estimate of that cost. You get it signed off, the client gets it signed off, they get a copy as well, so you kind of sign another one, and then you can leave them with your terms and conditions as part of the acceptance. And that's how you kind of use the EstimatorXpress. So I'm probably going to be wrapping up now, so I'll kind of hang around for 5 minutes just to see if anybody has any questions, but feel free to fire away, and we'll try and answer as many as we can. Okay, yep, just had a bit of feedback and stuff really, rather than kind of questions and stuff, so I'm going to let you guys get back to your evening time. I know it's kind of important to you, so we'll be in touch over the next few days just to kind of maybe kind of catch up, see if there's any other questions and stuff that you guys have, and we'll have a conversation then. So many thanks for giving up your time this evening, and we'll speak soon. Thanks then, bye bye.